What up, guys? Welcome to another manga look. This time we're gonna be covering one of my personal favorites. Some of you might have read it, some of you might have not. Eden Zero, right? It's by the same guy that created Fairy Tail. Yeah, some of you might not like Fairy Tail, so I know what you're thinking. If it's by the creator of Fairy Tail, then Eden Zero has to be trash. No, it's a lot better than Fairy Tail. Me personally, I like Fairy Tail, but not many people like Fairy Tail. But I just have a personal attachment to it because of like the intrinsic feelings it gave me as a young lad in middle school when I first started watching it. But yeah, Eden Zero. Now, Eden Zero is a prototypical manga that takes place in space. It has a similar like story structure, I guess, to Rave Tail, but not really. Rave Tail being Mashima's first work, but no, I don't think it's that. So it's basically your prototypical space or like space journey. It's a journey in space. This is a sci-fi. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Hiro Mashima decided to go from fantasy with the likes of Rave Tail and Fairy Tale to sci-fi. Now, from the looks of it, you can already tell that Hiro Mashima likes to take designs, right, that he used in previous series and sort of mismatch them and create different characters, but using the same models. Because I guess he gets too lazy to draw different things. As you can tell, straight up from the thing, the main character Shiki, right, looks like Natsu, but has the black hair of Gray. Now, there'll be another photo edited in, so that's much more clear than that, but you get the point. He does this with characters like Rebecca, who look a lot like Lucy. Then there's like the pirate lady, forgot her name, who looks a lot like Ursa, as prime examples. They are the closest to looking exactly close to the ones from Fairy Tale, but not really, right? Uh, Future me will edit those in. Yeah, remember that, future me, okay? But yes, right? This story basically starts off with Rebecca. Rebecca being our second protagonist, I guess, or one of our main protagonists. She's basically going around the world looking for adventures and stuff to record for her Beecuber channel because she's a beecuber. That's right, Hiro Mashima decided to include YouTubing into this world. That's right, it's in the form of beecubing. I don't think you'd ever think that YouTubing and recording videos in general would be a huge part of a story, and especially a sci-fi. And that's right, Eden Zero does. Beecubing is a huge aspect of it, at least for the first couple of like arcs. Right here or there. It has like a sort of touch to it where beecubing matters and it has an effect on the story, right? Because Rebecca has followers. Not many, but she has. But yeah. So she starts off by flying on a ship, heading to, I guess, a planet called Granbell, right? Granbell is like this old machine amusement park that was built by people for people to have fun, right? It was built by people. Not many people visit this place anymore. It's pretty much a dead zone. So she thinks, oh, maybe we can find something fun to do from the machines left over, right? Of course, upon landing, she runs into another person that she was not expecting to run into. She runs into Shiki. That's right. Our first two main protagonists run into each other and sort of are linked to each other. Like the story implies that these two are sort of like destiny linked, which you'll as you if you guys ever do pick up the story and continue and read it your guys self, you'll realize, oh yeah, these two are linked in a way, right? I don't whether that you want to think of it romantically or not or whatever. I'm not gonna say because that's a spoiler, okay? But they're linked through destiny and time or whatever. So she runs into Shiki, She meets Shiki. Shiki gets excited because she's never met a person before, especially a female, a lady, right? And I'm alright. Let's get this over with. Yes, Hiro Mashima still gives us fucking fan fiction in this story. Yeah, there's a lot of it, bro. And I'm gonna fucking put some on the screen. They'll be consecutive. You'll see, bro. You have one with Rebecca. There's some with other characters, which I might not show because that's again spoiler. I'm only covering like the first chapter of the first volume, right? I'm only covering that section. I don't want to spoil it too much because manga look, right? As you guys know, only covers the base chapter, right? It doesn't go anything beyond that because I don't want to ruin the story. You guys got to go read further yourself if you want to know more. No more, right? So to continue, Shiki gets excited. She sends Shiki flying. She goes into town, meets robots. She starts talking with the machines left over from the amusement park about who the boy was, and they introduce her. Oh, they say, "Oh, you mean Shiki, right?" And then she's like, "Oh, so you guys know Shiki? Yeah, nah, Shiki's the only human here, and he fixes us, right? Quote unquote fix." It that's sort of a sad fact that we'll come back later, but yes, fix, right? And so she meets Shiki personally this time, right? They start having fun together, going around in the amusement park and doing stuff like that, right? The very they share some wholesome moments, and Shiki introduces himself personally, right? They even eat lunch together after meeting the people, and she even cuts his hair because his hair was fucking horrible. So he goes from being a long haired dude to being a short haired dude, right? And this is after like meeting each other, having fun, dancing with the robots and stuff. After she's dressed up, pampered, and stuff. Lo and behold, they go to sleep for the night, and we find out Rebecca was kidnapped by the robots. Which is weird because we saw them before. They were all kind and nice and stuff. Shiki's not aware of this, right? So Shiki thinks they're malfunctioning, right? So he tries to repair these robots, but these robots get aggressive with him, start attacking. He sees that they're gonna execute, like the king of the robots wants to execute Rebecca in the courtyard. Shiki saves her, then gets into a fight with the main guy, right? The main king, the king robot, and he ends up beating him and destroying him, right? Which he hates because to Shiki, these robots were his friends, regardless of whether they were malfunctioning or not, right? Within this story, there's like a little robot that we get to meet, right? Before she gets kidnapped, right? I forgot his name, but he's very special to Shiki because he's like one of Shiki's personal friends, right? And he also turns against Shiki, but he care that robot clearly cares, right? And the one of the beautiful things about the story is that it really puts into the forefront on the idea that robots are also people, right? This story specifically has a huge connection on whether humans or robots can be considered living and human, and whether they have emotions. And a lot of the series tries to push the fact that they are, right? In this first arc or little mini arc, right? They sort of do, right? You end up thinking that these robots are malfunctioning, right? And so after Shiki beats the king, he starts crying and he says goodbye to everybody because all the robots are still acting aggressively, right? Right? They're still fighting. They're still running them off. So Rebecca tells Shiki, all right, let's go. Let's escape. I got a ship, right? And so Shiki goes with her, right? And as he blasts off, Shiki starts to cry, realizing that he left them, right? And Rebecca sort of feels sad and she empathizes with Shiki, saying, I know, man, it sucks to lose your friends like that, not functioning. And Shiki says, yeah, but I know that they were my friends till the end, and, there's like a sweet moment between the two of them. And Shiki then, like, prototypical Natsu, gets happy again, sort of. He's nothing like Natsu, he's a bit different. gets happy again, and they can, and then they, and then he says, "All right, I'm excited. Space looks amazing." He has like this freak out of space, and they blast off. But before we leave, we go back to Granville, the planet, right? That's where Shiki. That's where we find out that the robots that we thought were malfunctioning weren't malfunctioning at all. They were playing a part. Turns out Shiki was raised by the Demon King, who was a robot from this planet who played the Demon King. He's not actually the Demon King, but he later becomes the Demon King. So far, that's a whole. You got to read the story. That's a whole other thing, right? Shiki is the grandson of the Demon King. All right, let's keep it that simple, right? And he learned gravity magic or gravity ether from this guy. So that's Shiki's power. That's how he beat the king because he knows gravity ether or gravity power, right? Which is already a really cool fucking idea, like a really cool fighting power. It's a really cool ability, right? Not many stories delve that deep into gravity, but this one does. This story, I think I like the direction that Hiro Mashima uses gravity and how he and where he goes with it. It's really unique and really fun. I personally think it's really fucking cool with the moves like gravity magic check smash, right? But yeah, so we find out that the Shiki is that, and that all the robots promised the Demon King that when a human landed on their planet, that they'd force Shiki to go with that human to leave, so Shiki can be together with real people because Shiki was around robots his whole life, right? That's really sweet, right? I gotta catch my breath. I'm talking too quickly, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, which is really sweet. And then we find they start to we show them that, and they say they tell the king that they did it, and the king says yes, we kept our promise to the Demon King. We forced Shiki to go and leave and start an adventure because we knew he wouldn't leave because he loved us too much. And then they start to shut down because they knew that they wouldn't last long. They knew that they had to get Shiki to leave because they didn't have much time left. We find out that those robots were at their death door. They were gone. They were gonna disappear. Shiki couldn't fix them, and they were afraid of leaving Shiki alone. So they forced them to leave by attacking the girl and making Shiki think that they lost their minds and stuff. It's a really sad scene. Like Shiki's best friend, one of the robots, starts crying and he says, "Good luck, my friend Shiki." And then they all shut down. They die. They're dead, basically. Their last act, the last show and performance that they said that they did was basically forcing Shiki to leave the planet and go on this adventure. And it really hit me here. It hit me in the heart, guys, in the chest. It was sad. But yeah, that's how that chapter one ends, and that's how the story begins. It begins with our boy Shiki and Rebecca leaving Granville after getting chased off, and then Shiki basically starting his adventure from there. That's it. Go read the rest of the volume one or chapters and stuff. I will leave a link in the description to volume one too, so you guys can buy it if you guys so wish to get it. An Amazon description or a link. But yeah, that is um Eden Zero in a nutshell. It's a really good story, especially that fighting, like the beginning of this fighting. I guess how do we say this? A fighting tier? No, fighting style. This fighting system. Okay, the fighting system in this world is ether, right? Ether is like this scientific slash magical because it has some magical elements to it, sort of, not really. It uses ether gear, right? That gets born into people and uses this energy called ether nano, right? Ether nano gets absorbed into people's body who have ether gear, who can use that allows them to use these special abilities. Rebecca eventually gets one. Hers is really fucking broken. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. You gotta read to know. But yes, we find out that what ether gear is, and Shiki's the first person to use it, and his is gravity. And it's fucking broken and awesome. But yeah, this story has an amazing fighting system, unique in a sense, right? Something new to I guess, futuristic sci-fis, right? Because this is what this is. This is a shonen sci-fi uh, adventure story, which is unique. That's not something that's very common. At least I don't know any stories similar to that at the top of my head right now. But yeah, I love the story, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Right? This is another episode of Manga Look Eden Zero Edition. And if you guys liked my ranting of this story and this, hey, leave a like, right? Please. You know, if you liked the video, leave a like. If you wanted to subscribe so you can see more videos similar to this, because I do a lot of manga looks, right? This is the third one in the series. I do reaction, I do gaming, I do all sorts of stuff on this channel that I like to do and have fun with. And if you guys want to see that, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and yeah, enjoy yourselves. There'll be a new video up a couple videos up every week. I don't have a specific schedule or a specific date, but there'll be videos up. And that's all, guys. And as always, remember, adios.